everybody, it's Tracy Lewin.
Peter Ray. Good evening, Tracy. How are you?
Fantastic, thank you. How are you doing?
No, I'm just laughing because of all the excitement. The excitement in the world of Bitcoin seems unending.
Yes, and who is this guy we've got on the screen? I mean, he's looking pretty skeptical as well as to the latest goings on.
Yeah, well, like we've heard, Satoshi Nakamoto exposed himself. But I wonder, this guy, with this photo, he's been splashed all over the internet now for a number of years. This Satoshi, what his thoughts are about that. But yeah, I mean, somebody came out and provided some proof to the BBC and to the Economist and I think GQ magazine that he's Satoshi and that not Satoshi, that he's the inventor of Bitcoin.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, it really has it's really been quite an exciting couple of days. So Craig Wright says he is it. He is Mr. Bitcoin.
Australian,
yeah, down under.
I don't know. I'm one of those skeptics, you know.
So tell us your thoughts.
Those four ex-beers come from Australia, so I'm not sure how they write. If they can't even spell a name, how did they write a Bitcoin program? It's the old rugby rivalries coming out there. No,
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, this guy's been in the news a long time. They've been suspecting that he's the actual guy, you know. So it's not a big surprise. I'm just wondering, you know, Tracy, why did he decide to actually come forward now? What his motivation, his real motivation is, if anything, or maybe, you know, it's not that sinister, but why is this guy now come forward and told us, you know, okay, but you know, I'm Satoshi, and basically, I think he's provided some proof to the news media.
Yes, he has provided some proof, and but yet there are still so many skeptics. It's actually quite crazy that there's so many skeptics out there.
Well, I suppose it's part of the charm of Bitcoin, the fact that the inventor is unknown. But I think, you know, personally, I think I think this guy maybe is the guy. If I look at the weight of the evidence, my big concern is, you know, if I have a concern about it, is why now. And it seems to me timely. You know, it's about a month and a half before this Bitcoin halving. And I'm wondering if he is going to want to take part in whatever's decided upon that.
Yes, that could be it. Well, you know what? The Bitcoin price hasn't looked kind of dropped.
Yeah, I think initially the price did drop, but the price is picking up back. I see it's trading close to 450 again. So, you know, I mean, it's interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I don't think fundamentally it changes anything about Bitcoin or the Bitcoin use or the Bitcoin program, except that you know, somebody like Craig Wright, if he's the real inventor, you know, there might be fears that he might have an abnormal say on what happens next.
Yes, because he's holding so many Bitcoin.
Not only because he's holding so many Bitcoin, but also, you know, people obviously, you know, have a worship feeling towards this guy because of this amazing invention.
Well, he actually came out and said that he's done this for his friends, his family, the colleagues and the people that work for him. And he doesn't want to be hero worshipped. He doesn't want any press. He doesn't want any money. Well, he probably doesn't want any money because he doesn't need any money. But you know, so that's the reason why he's saying this is the reason why he's come out. So any time will tell, Peter.
There's two big emotions that, you know, that actually, you know, manage human behavior totally, and that's called fear and greed. So we'll see what happens. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, exactly. Oh well, let's see, hey?
Yeah. Anyway, the thing for me is, you know, it doesn't change the long-term prospects of Bitcoin. It is the most amazing invention we've ever had. So good on this guy for inventing it, and hopefully he stays out of it now, and you know, let the thing run its course the way it's supposed to be.
Yes, exactly. Okay, Peter, what is the plan for tonight? We've spoken now about Satoshi Nakamoto. Is there anything else you want to cover? Should we talk about?
This thing I want to say to people is, if they are on this and listening to this video, make sure tomorrow that you sign into Women in Bitcoin. What are you guys going to talk about, Tracy?
Well, you know what? We do a lot of touchy-feely stuff on that program because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to uplift the women in Bitcoin. Unfortunately, women are not that involved in Bitcoin. It's mainly a male-dominated area. Because men seem to be a hell of a lot more fascinated with Bitcoin than women are. But we really need to get women more empowered. And that's really what the program is about. So for the past few weeks, we've been looking at how to earn with Bitcoin, what to do next. And so tomorrow we're going to be talking a bit about the blockchain and the halving of the Bitcoin creation in July this year, which is going to be quite an interesting thing. What's your take on that?
I think, but it's great. I think Satoshi's daughter might have a few things to say. Maybe you should try to interview her. No, it's great. I mean, I can't wait for your program. I really love it. So.
Well, Peter, I was actually asking you about, I know you love the program, okay? I know you love women in business as well. So I was really asking you about your take on the halving of Bitcoin creation in July.
Sorry, I missed that, Tracy.
I said, I'm asking your opinion of what's going to happen. What do you believe is going to happen around the July when Bitcoin creation is halved?
I think what's going to happen is it's becoming, it's becoming less profitable to mine. So there's going to be, some of the miners are going to see a bit of a margin squeeze on their mining capability because of that. But that should over the coming months push up the Bitcoin price. Yes. Because Bitcoin are becoming more valuable. There's more uses for Bitcoin, and there's less Bitcoin available. So logically the price should go up. So I'm not concerned that anything radically is going to change, except that the price will move.
Yes, exactly. And just imagine this, saying in 4 years, well, let's say July, it's going to go to 12.5 Bitcoin created every 10 minutes. In 4 years after that, it's going to be 6.25 Bitcoin. So it's edging really down. Eventually, we're going to have not even a Bitcoin is going to be mined every 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That is definitely going to have an impact on pricing.
Well, imagine if you need the same mining power, but the mining capability, but your output is getting less. So it's like it's almost like a gold mine having to drill deeper and deeper to get to the new gold, and that makes mining more expensive, and it puts a drain on the margin of those companies.
Yes.
So yeah.
Excellent.
So unless the price goes up to compensate them, some of the miners will go out of business.
Correct. Peter? So
yeah.
I've just flicked over to the to a really, really great list of Bitcoin lingo for people to understand the meaning of certain words that are around Bitcoin. Because I mean, actually, a couple of weeks ago, I kind of looked at this AML and wondered what AML was. So it's simple terms that that people don't understand when there's something new out there. So do you think it's a good idea? Well, I know you think it's a good idea to go through.
I think we should go through it, and look at some of these terms and discuss them.
Okay, cool. So you can see the screen. The first one.
I can see the screen, yeah.
Yeah, so if we can, well, as I mentioned, AML, anti-money laundering techniques. So anti-money laundering, that is AML. So there's a whole description on this. And also, we're going to include this in a blog. So you'd be able to, whoever is interested in going through these and taking a look at all these different words and their meanings, it'll be a good idea to do that.
Well, Tracy, these anti-money laundering policies came into all financial services in the late 90s, early 2000s. And, it was also called, some people call it KYC, or Know Your Client. And, it's basically collecting details on who is doing transactions. That's why, everybody knows when you want to open a bank account, you need a copy of your identification and a proof of address. And without that, you can't really do any big financial transactions And you know, Bitcoin is going to go the same way. All the big exchanges and all the big Bitcoin companies are going to have to collect client data so that that's on record for you know, basically to fight financial crime and money laundering.
Yes. Actually, they are saying that criminals should run very, very fast away from using Bitcoin because, you are able to to track and trace as well.
Criminals are using the same thing they've always used, and that's cash for most of the transactions. And people got distracted a little bit because they thought, you know, that I don't know what they thought. They thought the mafia is going to start a Bitcoin business, but you know, it doesn't mean that there's a new technology that all of a sudden that becomes the sole use for criminals. So look at cars and guns and cell phones and stuff like that. That's used by everyone, not, you know.
Yeah,
But if
exactly.
you watch a movie, you'll think it's only used by criminals. So because the guy's always driving, running, or driving in a getaway car, shooting somebody and talking on his mobile. But if you look at it, that's how they suppress him as well, via mobile phones and stuff like that, and it's going to be the same, you know. So,
Yeah,
you know, I think that whole scenario about Bitcoin, that's really over. Nobody really serious about saying, you know, that it's criminal currency or stuff like that. I think that's people have become realistic and knows that it's a bunch of nonsense.
Okay, just to talk about Bitcoin ATMs. Peter, in your travels around Europe and into London, how many Bitcoin ATMs have you come across?
You know what, Tracy? A year ago, I say a year ago, say about November, December, about 5, 6 months ago, I was really looking seriously into that, and you know, there's quite a few of these ATMs out there. I've been to London a few times, and the ATM places that I've went to, or the ATMs are either discontinued or not used anymore. In Zurich, there's quite a few that are still used, and there are new ones installed in a lot of places. But personally, my belief is that there is no future for Bitcoin ATMs, and the reason why I believe that is because of the advent of all these Bitcoin debit cards and stuff, which means you can use any bank ATM really to go withdraw your Bitcoin. So, you know, what is the real purpose of a Bitcoin ATM? It's quite an expensive machine to buy in the first place. And if the only purpose is to change Bitcoin into currency, you can get yourself a Bitcoin card and go do that at any ATM.
Yes, exactly. And I must say that there's a lot of cards coming out these days.
Yeah, so I think those Bitcoin ATMs, and definitely if the banks start, you know, adopting Bitcoin into their mainstream business, that's the end of Bitcoin ATMs. There's no reason for them because every ATM will be a Bitcoin ATM anyway.
Yes, exactly. You know,
The whole concept of having an ATM specifically for a currency is craziness anyway. If you think about it, it's like saying I have a dollar ATM or I have a pound ATM.
yeah.
You know, in a lot of European places, big airports and stuff, you can get different currencies from an ATM or stuff like that. And there's no reason why a Bitcoin can't just be integrated into an ATM. You know, and really, you can't withdraw Bitcoin. You can only, you know, in the form of cash. And an ATM is really a cash dispensing machine. So the whole just a normal ATM. The only thing is you want some internal transaction to happen to convert it from ATM to euros or dollars or wherever you're traveling.
Okay. Bitcoin Investment Trust.
Well, the Bitcoin Investment Trust is a business that started in the US I say a few years ago. I'm not sure how long ago, a while ago, a couple of months ago, and it's basically a vehicle where people can invest in Bitcoin via the stock exchange, via exchange traded fund called the Bitcoin Investment Trust.
Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go down.
Just can I get one here that
Yes.
you know, that people ask me a lot, and I don't see it on the list. It's just what is a bit?
Oh, okay. Yes, that's not on here, it seems.
No, it's not on there, and I think what a bit is is a like a common unit that are used to designate really a subunit of Bitcoin. So 1 million bits is equal to 1 Bitcoin. If that makes sense.
1 million.
One
Yes.
million bits. Yeah. Okay.
And you know what? As the price goes up,
And
they are
sorry.
going to have to, as the price goes up, obviously you're going to have to, it's they could come up with other terms to take it smaller than that. And
Well,
that's
a bit is 1 millionth of a Bitcoin, and a Satoshi is 100 millionth of a Bitcoin.
yes.
So what happens is uh, uh, to get to a bit, you need to well, the smallest unit at the moment is 1 Satoshi. Like it's one followed by 8 zeros really. So that's
Yeah.
1/100th. Yeah, 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. So it's crazy.
I mean, it's actually so small, difficult to
Yeah.
fathom it. But they are saying that once the Bitcoin price really hits, really top prices, they're going to have to talk about finding something else, something smaller than a Satoshi. So that's going to be an interesting day. In fact, it's
I
going to be
think
a
that's
very good
going to
day for
take a
me.
long time because Bitcoin
Yeah.
will probably have to go to a few $1 million per Bitcoin before that becomes necessary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also the other thing is, Tracy, what people will see a lot is different abbreviations for Bitcoin. The most popular being BTC,
Correct.
and,
It's at the bottom here.
one that a lot of the currency exchanges are using is one called XBT,
Oh,
or
yes.
some even use BTX. So just as a matter of interest.
Okay. Let's find Coinbase.
Oh, Coinbase. Oh, Coinbase is an interesting one. Coinbase is a Bitcoin wallet company in the US, and really they started off as a wallet company and exchange, and then started developing merchant services, and it's really what they've really built their business on now is becoming a merchant, almost like an online merchant for people wanting to accept Bitcoin. And also Coinbase have different verification systems in their business. So they are really making sure that they go for the consumer market. You've got different levels of verification in Coinbase, either as an individual or as a business. And I know how it works because we have a Coinbase merchant account. So it's a Coinbase to use the Coinbase exchange. If you're verified and you've given your anti-money laundering paperwork and everything, you can buy with Coinbase up to $3,000 or 3,000 unit dollars or euros worth of Bitcoin a day, depending on which country you are. And if you go to a further verification step as a commercial enterprise, you can get a limit of up to 10 million Bitcoins or $10 million a day that you can buy Bitcoin on the Coinbase exchange.
That's
And
incredible.
Coinbase are currently signing up between 2,000 and 5,000 new customers every single day. So they're growing fast.
Yes, very fast, very, very fast. But actually, in this description, it says that it's another name for the input used in a Bitcoin's generation transaction. So when a Bitcoin is mined, it doesn't come from another Bitcoin user, but it's generated as a reward for the miner, and that's what a Bitcoin really is. It's the solving of that mathematical problem. So it says, yeah, that reward is recorded as a transaction, but instead of another user's Bitcoin address, some arbitrary data is used as the input. So yeah, Coinbase chose a very, very good name.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize that. I actually didn't read what you were telling. I was so going off on Coinbase and what I know about them. So
But
just
that's
shows.
okay, because they
Well,
need
now I
it.
just learned something. Thank you very much.
And what else should we do here? What about deflation?
Deflation.
We only used to inflation.
Well, deflation is when something becomes more valuable, when prices go down.
Yes,
That's
the
called
reduction of
deflation.
prices as in an economy over time.
Well, the best way to understand deflation is when you're on your bicycle and the air goes out of the tire. That's called deflation. Inflation is when you pump it up again. And that's why the governments love to do that. They love to pump up the economy by putting air into the, into the economy. That's why it's very easy to get a puncture.
The one that I do want to talk about is this double spending. I find this quite interesting. You know, the act of spending Bitcoins twice, and actually, this cannot happen. It's not easy to do, they say.
Well, because of the consensus that has to be reached by the network themselves to actually make sure that every transaction needs to be, confirmed. And while we're talking about that, talking about double spending, confirmation, let's just say what confirmation is. Confirmation is when a transaction is processed by the network, and then that transaction is highly unlikely to be reversed. They're actually impossible. And every transaction receives a confirmation when that transaction is included in a block. And for each subsequent block it's included in, it gets confirmed again. And, and sometimes for low value transactions, people will use one confirmation and it will be fine. For larger amounts, usually $100,000 plus, people wait for 6 confirmations. I think my experiences with things like some of the wallets we use between 3 and 6 confirmations.
You know what? This is incredible, Peter. And this is the reason why the world is so excited about Bitcoin and the blockchain technology. And also why, the banks are involved, big businesses involved, countries are involved. Everybody is getting a piece of this action. And at the moment, it's like the quiet before the storm, because they're doing all this work, and soon they're going to unleash all this development upon the world. And it's going to change the way we do things. It's going to change the way financial transactions are done. So this is so incredibly exciting. So Craig, right, if it is you, thumbs up, eh?
Yeah.
Well done, high five.
Well, the thing is, people often ask what the value of Bitcoin is, Tracy, and the thing is, really the big problem that Bitcoin solves, or the blockchain solves, is really when you create a digital file or any digital content, what's your biggest problem? The problem the record companies have and the problem the movie companies have is that that file can be duplicated. It can be very easy to copy. And what they've done now with the blockchain and the confirmation system is you've created a digital transaction or a digital file that cannot be duplicated because it cannot be confirmed more than once. So that gives it tremendous inherent value.
Yes. No, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Okay, we're down to the E's and the F's. What about escrow? The act of holding funds or assets in a third-party account to protect them during an anonymous transaction. Bob wants to see.
I think the best example of escrow is when you're buying a house.
Asynchronous, rather, I should have said.
Sorry?
I should have said asynchronous, sorry.
Oh, I think the best example for normal people to understand escrow is when you buy a house. When you buy a house, you actually take a deposit, you put it in escrow at your lawyer, so the lawyer keeps it in trust, and as soon as the house is transferred in your name, the money that's in escrow are then paid over to the seller. So it's really kept separate from
understand it
else until the transaction is completed.
Okay, fiat currency, there are probably still quite a few people running around who don't know what fiat currency, and fiat currency is actually, in fact it says here, a currency conjured out of thin air, which only has value because people say it does. And that's really thanks to our President Nixon, who in the early 70s, I think 1971, took away the gold standard and the world actually followed. So back in the day, you used to be able to go into the bank with your dollar and you could get gold for that dollar. And of course, you can't do that anymore.
Well, the thing is, it's I think where fiat comes from, and I don't want to be strung up for political correctness, but in the early days of the motor industry, the Fiat cars were considered worthless. So basically, it means worthless.
Yeah. I had a Fiat once. Long ago, very, very long ago.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Hash rates. The number of hashes that can be performed by a Bitcoin miner in a given period of time, usually a second. Here's your question, Steve.
Well, it's actually hashes is basically the way to measure the processing power of the Bitcoin network.
Yes.
If it's say 10 THS, it means you can make 10 trillion transactions or calculations per second, or whatever that hash rate is. That's the amount of calculations that can be made per second by the network. And as the network grows, more miners get involved, that mining power increases.
Correct.
It just means there's more people on the network that are doing these calculations at one time, which creates the speed of the network. And obviously, the slower it gets, the more expensive it gets, because then people are waiting for the transactions to be completed.
Okay, the next one is mining. Now, interesting, I've been involved in cloud mining, and but obviously there's different kinds of mining. So mining is really not what people think. It's not like mining for gold or anything like that. It's just really that mathematical algorithm that keeps on running 24/7 to solve a mathematical problem. It's very fascinating, this. And also, mines, just so that people can conjure up a thought in a picture in their mind. Mines are just loads and loads of computers that are called miners, and these computers are constantly running these algorithms. They're generating extreme heat. They are using huge amounts of electricity. There's wires everywhere. Mining farms spend a lot of money on their hardware, and a lot of money on their cooling systems, because obviously you've got to keep this thing cool. So it's quite fascinating. I actually watched a video inside. It was called Inside a Secret Chinese Mine.
Yeah, I mean, there's the big difference between mining and cloud mining.
Yes.
Cloud mining is a system where people actually create an investment opportunity around mines. And unfortunately, some of these cloud mines are not cloud mines at all, but they're just smoke and mirrors. So
Yes.
people need to be very careful about getting involved with Bitcoin mining, as there's a lot of big companies involved with a lot of cash and capital, and they are making a lot of money, and they logically wouldn't really share that with other people. I think there's a huge misconception that mining companies are looking for people to invest with them to share the mining profits, and that's not true. Because why would you share your mining profits if you have a profitable business, you can go to the stock market and you can go to currently in Switzerland, the interest rates are 0. So if you've got a viable business proposition, you can probably go lend money at a very low interest rate. So why on earth would you pay people 10% a month to share in your mining profits? So people should be very skeptical and scared about those type of transactions.
Yes. Well, I can speak from experience, because I've been involved in a couple when I was totally clueless. So, and then of course you get burnt. So yeah, interesting times. But obviously there are a lot of people out there wanting to take your money.
I think, Tracy, the opportune time to speak maybe about interest. But interest rates is really the cost of money. And if you think about the Bitcoin being in a deflationary spiral, the cost of Bitcoin, or the cost of getting Bitcoin, is not going to be that much higher than the cost of actually getting other money. And if you think about a low interest rate environment, we are talking now interest rates of, from a savings point of view, you really can't get any interest on your money. And from a lending point of view, you can go borrow money at very, very low rates, definitely under 5% if you're purchasing a house. I'm not sure in your third world countries where what that rates go up to.
Yeah,
But
no, it's a lot
really,
more than 5%, I can tell you.
but still, your investment markets are reflect those rates. So really, if people are promising, I mean, I've seen companies that promise people 1% per day or things like that in Bitcoin returns. That just means you're never going to see your money. It's not viable.
Well, 1% is low. I mean, I've seen 10% per day. So, yeah.
It's
It's
obviously a
just
scam.
that
There's no way that anybody can make 10% a day. It's
yeah.
absolutely nonsense. And then people should just stay away from that stuff. Just use your brain, use your logical logic when you think about these things. And like I said when we talked about Satoshi in the beginning, the two big emotions that drive human behavior are fear and greed. And unfortunately, in that sense, if you take part in that, you are driven by greed, which is only good in the movie Wall Street.
Yes, exactly. Ripple. Actually, talk to us about Ripple, because I know that you did something on Ripple.
Ripple is really a network that you can establish yourself on your computer between two different centers and use as a payment network to send currency from one computer to another. And it's actually very easy to set up. It's just open source software. So you can go to, as a Ripple developer, you can go to the software and you can create a Ripple network. And a lot of the banks are starting to use it internally to create internal transactions and stuff like that. And as long as it's like creating almost your own. What is the word that I'm thinking of? It's your own bond.
Yeah.
I see they use the word here IOU, but it's more like the old concept of a personal bond where you create a piece of paper and you say I promise a promissory note. It's really promissory notes on the internet. That's what it is.
Yes. No, that's excellent, and it works well.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go back to this QR code. A QR code is that block. It's a two-dimensional graphical block, and it's black and white, and those are actually the codes that you would use to either, if you were using your cell phone to make a payment with somebody, with, let's say, a shop that takes Bitcoin, you would use this QR code. And also, I think for drawing, if you didn't have a card, if those Bitcoin ATMs didn't use cards, you would use your QR code, right?
Yeah, the Bitcoin ATMs use your QR code. You can actually take your phone and you scan the QR code on the machine and you press a button and you either transfer to the machine or you withdraw from the machine.
You withdraw. Isn't it incredible?
It's amazing.
Amazing. Okay, so can you see any others? Transaction fees, they're very, very small. And I mean, even if it depends on, or it doesn't really depend on the amount of Bitcoin you send across the network. I mean, the from a small amount to a huge amount, the transaction fee is minimal.
Mm-hmm.
And wallets, you actually spoke about wallets just today.
Yeah, while we're talking about wallets, and I'm thinking of this is the concept of a private key. And when we're talking about the wallet, and really, maybe it's important for us to explain to guys how wallets work, because again, a lot of people, it's very easy to actually create a wallet on a website. And I think people have already, when they see a company has a wallet on their website, they really almost have a belief in that company, because there's a conception that, or misconception, that when you have a wallet on your website, you have some kind of legitimacy. The fact is, it's very easy to create that wallet with open source software. and you have no guarantee that if somebody actually shows a balance in your online Bitcoin wallet, that the money is actually there. So in terms of using wallets, you know, it's not about the fanciness of the website that you need to be aware of. You actually need to look at the underlying company and who's holding your money. Almost like, you know, you're putting your money in the bank. There's no point if you get a bank statement and it's worthless.
Exactly.
But to go back to how a wallet works, you get this private key, and this private key is really a what shall I call it? A secret piece of data that approves your right to spend the Bitcoins from a specific wallets. And that's what they call a cryptographic signature. So your private keys are stored on your computer if you are using a software wallet, and if you're using a web wallet, so you can actually create three types of wallets. One is you can create a software wallet where you run a wallet on your own computer and you store your keys on your computer, which means much safer than a web wallet, because then somebody can't just steal your Bitcoins. How many times have you heard, Tracy, of somebody telling you that their wallets were hacked at some what call it? This means they stored in the cloud somebody else's server. And the other way to store your keys is to actually write your keys down on a piece of paper and then remove them from your computer completely. And then you have those keys, and you can access your wallet if you have those. So you have a paper wallet, you can have a software wallet, or you can have a cloud or a web wallet. And you know, and you should never reveal your private keys, as they would allow you to spend Bitcoins for this respective Bitcoin wallet. So if you have a Bitcoin wallet with somebody, it means they are actually storing your keys on their computer. Now, there are companies like Coinbase and Zappo which specialize in this. And you know, initially when Bitcoin started, I would have told people, listen, don't do that. Keep your keys, your software keys, on your own computer, or put them on a piece of paper. But really now, you know, companies that have proven that they are that is a good way to use a reputable company to actually store your Bitcoins. And some of them, like Zappo, have got vaults that have different levels of cryptography that protect your money, and they are actually very good. A lot of institutions use them, and this is what they specialize in. So, you know, that's a good service.
Yes. Well, you know what? There's also many, many people out there that have got wallets in different, and they've got Bitcoin everywhere, you know? They've got small amounts of Bitcoin in different wallets. And what actually happens is you forget where those wallets are. You forget the password, you know, because we all try and not use the same password for everything. And there's so much Bitcoin that's actually lost already.
Yeah.
And that's because of people having way too many wallets. I mean, I like my Zappo wallet. I use it all the time and never had any issues. Swipe my debit card everywhere. Today, I changed an international flight and paid with my my debit card, and it works very, very well.
Yeah, like I said, you know, there's different ways to keep your money. And I would not put all my coins in one wallet, but I also wouldn't use 20.
No.
You know, maybe use one or two or three reliable companies. And if you really have a lot of Bitcoins, it might still be worth it actually, you know, taking your Bitcoins offline and putting it in a paper wallet where only you know where it is, and lock it up in your safe.
Yes.
Then nobody can ever get to it.
Correct. Okay, Peter, well, we've gone through quite a few things. I think that's probably enough for this recording. Any last words?
Well, the last words I have is, you know, we've only talked tonight, and I feel this creates some value to people looking at this, and you know, we don't want to carry on every Tuesday evening and just say buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. But let me tell you what, it's time to buy Bitcoin. So
We
So
had such an exciting week last week, you know, and it actually happened after we did our first recording, but it just went, I mean, our recording last week, and it just, the Bitcoin price just went moggy. So it created a huge amount of excitement, finished off very nicely at the end of, I mean, it was knocking on 470, went over 470, and then it dropped again down to about 450, around there. And yeah, so exciting days, eh?
yeah, exciting days. Very, very exciting. And I'll see you tomorrow on Women for Bitcoin, and I'll see you on Friday on the Bitcoin News Review again. But yeah, Tracy, good luck. And my old thing is, you know, make sure you follow us on Facebook and on um, on your media channel and wherever you can, to get a free Bitcoin education. This is part of what, you know, other service we're giving. Hopefully some of these terms, and if there's any terms that you guys need explanation for, contact us and we'll try to, you know, explain the best we can how things work.
Exactly. Well, great. Thanks very much, Peter. And well, I won't see you tomorrow, but we'll chat tomorrow. Cheerio then.
I'll see you in the virtual world of Bitcoin.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, Tracy. Cheers.